All right. He became a legend in under 5 years in a sport when the judge said you should be in prison. Today we have Frankie Torres, also known as Fast Frank. And I'm excited to have him here. I'm excited to share. We love comeback stories
we do.
on the lunch break. We love it. I mean, it's one of our favorite things. And I've known him for a couple years, and I've known the story. Bakersfield, California has done the interview. I think CNN. No, I'm just kidding. Not CNN.
Not that far.
Not that far. Not yet, right? But this story deserves to be shared. And I think you're going to find something in it that will encourage you and bring you to a place where maybe they get inspired, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully get inspired. But Frank,
chills.
yeah. But he's been racing bicycles and in 5 years, totally becoming a legend. I mean, everybody in Bakersfield who rides a bike already knows this guy.
I love that. Fast Frankie.
Yeah, Fast Frankie. And it took years. I mean, for people to know my name, it took years. And he did it in under 5 years. Under 5 years. So pretty legendary, pretty epic. And it's like, I think that shows where he came from, because when you hear the full story, you'll be surprised.
You hear the heart. And you know what? Something, Adrian? You forgot something.
What did I forget?
We want to thank you for joining Lunch Break today, and we would like you to go out, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're at 22,500.
22,000.
Yeah. So we just want to go out there, because this is just this is housekeeping. This is what pays the bills for.
Yeah.
So there again. So if you go out there, go out to Facebook, ask us questions. Go out to Instagram, ask us questions. We want to be part of that. Want to thank Mike Harvey, our producer of MLH Production.
Yes.
He's sitting over there in the sidelines in the chair. He's going to be up and I think doing his show tonight. And I think we're doing a couple tomorrow. Want to thank Alex Howe. And we're out there and sitting out there tonight. And our executive consultants, Taylor and Tessa Touchstone. So we want to thank everybody for doing that. Gets us on the air and pays the bills here, right, Adrian?
And we also have this one dog post that I want to talk about that has like a gajillion comments, and still every day we still get like 10 comments. I want you to know the dog is safe. The dog has a home. The dog is very well taken care of. We need to clone that dog for all of you guys so that you can help.
I think we have a new dog. But Frankie, so as I'm hearing there, we're going to get more of your story. What is something, and you don't confess deep, dark secrets here that your wife doesn't know, but what is something about you maybe the audience doesn't know? I found out something. You're a friend of the Marmolejos.
Yes, I'm actually friends with the Marmolejos.
You are an adopted member of the Marmolejo family.
Shout out to the Marmolejos family. Yep. I mean, really, they
Philip, rest in peace, brother.
Rest in peace. That's another story to tell. You know, not knowing that I was tied to VBS somehow.
Before you were tied to VBS.
Even tied,
Do you know that story, Adrian?
No.
Oh, I'll get that. We'll talk about that. So what is something that maybe people don't know?
Something that people don't know. If you know, I was actually in a coma at 5 years old.
Wow.
You know, and that kind of left me in a deep hole. I had to come back from that.
Wow,
you know?
That's an early age to come back.
Yeah. I really don't remember much of my childhood, to be honest with you. I was told that I was hit over the head with a padlock, flown out to the Valley Children's Hospital, and I was communically introduced. Yeah, well, it left me with a speech impairment. So we have
kind of I do. I mean, I have a speech impairment,
and you know that left me with being behind in school.
You know something, and Adrian, I'm gonna jump in, and you knew I was gonna do this. That's something
we already know,
Frankie. That's something our audience may know. It affects you.
It does.
I mean, people don't. I mean, I used to get pulled out for special classes. And my friends would make fun of me, like, "See you later, Tom."
Yeah.
And it would take me about a month to get back into class.
Yes.
You know, because they had to realize that it was just a speech impediment.
The worst thing is being called upon to read something.
Yes. Oh, I would go in the cold sweats. My friends would be waiting for it too.
I think the principal knew me more than anything, Miss Carbajal. I can just remember that name.
Uh-huh.
She at Mount Vernon Elementary. Yeah. And I think she was like my best friend in the office, because I was always pulled in the office just because people would pick on me, you know. I'm wearing a different shirt, one sock longer than the other, or I'll show up to school late. It's just one of those things. It was just
Wow.
But
it was
there
tough. It was tough.
There again, when you overcome something like a speech impediment, it hits every other area of your life.
And that's not even the comeback story.
No, but it is, and I love to talk to people
That's
about
awesome.
that because you can overcome that.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
And
You
it,
really
it,
can.
it takes a lot of guts to overcome it, because you and I speaking into a microphone isn't something we'd have done
Oh,
in the 5th grade or 6th
no
grade
way.
or high school. No way.
no way.
I was good at athletics because I wanted to keep people away from me.
Yeah.
I didn't want them to ask me questions, and I didn't want to make
Yeah, that was one of the things that the Mom on the Hills helped me with, being in sports and kind of dragging me along.
giving you
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah, I learned.
I do believe this, and I think Adrian can jump in on this, because I think being involved with athletics, because I know your story about running, you had so much energy, they got you into running. It's like you learn a lot. I tell my kids, I love academics, and I've got academia, but you learn a lot on the court, on the field, that you may not catch in life until you get out there. I mean, you're gonna get in situations where it's not fair. You're gonna get into situations where you win and you lose. You learn how to be a teammate. You learn how to be an overcomer. I mean, there's just things that on an athletic field, whatever sport it is, if you're out there, I mean, just keep going, because you're gonna be around real life situations before they run over you.
Yeah.
And I think too, like what he's covering about sports and life, and like sometimes as we get older, we forget the value of that. And we jump out of those sports that gave us so many rewards, whether it's running, basketball, bike riding. And hopefully you can take the time to actually like really sit down and think about, I should go back.
Yes.
You're
And
never
wrestling.
too old.
Wrestling. Oh yeah.
And wrestling.
Yeah.
I didn't know
let's
you were
wrestle.
Yeah, I'm a wrestler too.
I'm a wrestler
That's-
too.
That was another thing.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So we want to do something here, because we want to give an announcement for something we're doing. If you see the flag behind us, you could go to freedom.org and catch up on a lot of our things. Freedom.org is kind of our mantra for faith, family, and freedom, and you can apply that to Christ. Faith in Christ, will help keep your family strong and give you freedom in Christ. But if you don't have your faith in Christ, your faith can be in your patriotism, your citizenship, your community, and your family is always important. We talked about that, and we'll talk more about it. And your freedom. Freedom's not free.
Yeah.
It costs people a price. So if you
Sure
want to
isn't.
go out there, go to freedom.org. You'll get to see some of our new things called Relevant Rant. It's something that we're doing. We're really excited about it. And so check in on that. So it's just, hey, we're trying to offer some things that can help inspire you guys. Like hearing Frankie's story here is going to be inspiring me. I didn't know that he was, had a speech impediment. That just encourages me that another person overcomes those things in life. And if you're out there and you have an issue with it, don't give up.
Yeah. That's the best way to see it. It's not giving up, and believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Is the main thing. That you once you believe in yourself, you tend to block out the naysayers and the people that just think you can't do it.
Because I think every human being wants to be relevant. They want they want to see the fact that they have value. I mean, I think especially men.
They want value.
Yeah,
everybody wants value.
Yeah, and so as you're out there, I mean, finding that outside of something and not letting something define you.
Yeah.
Like not being I'm a tongue thruster, so I can't pronounce C's and S's and 6's and 7's and some things like that. So it's just it's one of
and
those
the whole part of this, like as we jump in this interview, Frank, is like this is all like before the even story that we're bringing out today. I mean, this is like way before.
We're gonna focus on
but
this.
it's like as we look into
That's
this
the hint to
story,
me.
sometimes
he just overtalks.
Sometimes we look at this story and we think like, well, Frank was always fast. That's why his name's Frankie Fast Guy.
I thought that.
He was always fast. But it's like this just happened like 5 years ago. I met you like right at you had only been riding for a little bit. I was out there.
I mean, it was the beginning.
Yeah, it was the beginning. And then, I mean, I almost want to say, before this all happened, where would people find you? Because if there was a comeback, you had to come back from something, right?
Yeah, it seems to...
Hitting by padlock at 5 being
Yeah,
induced
right.
in a coma. I'm like, holy smokes,
And that's not even the comeback. Go
My
ahead.
adrenaline goes every time I do talk about it. It's yeah, you would find me at a bar, at basically any bar, downtown, southwest, east, north. I mean, everywhere you'd find me.
because you were looking for community too. Where's
Yeah, that's
fit in.
Yeah, fit in. And I thought, drinking a lot, and the fastest I can drink,
Which leads to
faster than-
fighting,
yeah,
especially
fighting,
and
wrestling,
It just takes you down a hole that's hard to come
Yeah.
back up from.
and DUIs.
Ooh. How many DUIs did you get?
In my time of being an alcoholic for 15 years, 6 DUIs.
6.
6 DUIs. It literally took the last DUI to really set me.
Shake you up.
Yeah, really.
What happened like in that last DUI? What was the difference? Because I know
6.
guys.
Why not 7?
Why not
Why not
10?
8?
What was
Well,
the
I'm
biggest?
not making light of DUIs. I'm just saying.
No,
Sometimes they just.
Yeah.
If you're on a roll, you just
Yeah, I
keep
know a
going.
guy who has 10.
Wow.
10 of them.
I thought 6 was the
Record.
record.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the last one was the last straw. I put officers in danger. I mean, I gave so much respect for them now after what I have done to cause what I caused. And for those that I hurt, I'm sorry. And but yeah, it actually took them 2 years to finally find me. 2
Yeah.
years.
Were you hiding or just hiding in
So what
open
had
sight?
happened? So what had happened? I got pulled over. I was asked questions, and I ran on the cop. I took off. Never found me. I was behind someone's backyard. I fell asleep. I was drunk. I was high. If you don't mind, I was
No. Our show is hey,
Full story.
This is a full story.
I was addicted to cocaine and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
That most people don't know either. Alcohol part they knew, but the drug part they didn't.
Addiction is something that it doesn't matter what it is, right?
Yeah.
If you're that excessive guy or gal, you're going to the edge.
Yeah,
Because nothing stops you.
It was to the edge. The report was I was going 65 and a 45, and I wasn't responsive of the lights. I just kept on going. I was trying to get the last 30 pack. I thought was last 30 pack. Ended up being there was 20 more after that.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
So you tried to quit on your own a bunch of times.
Oh
And-
man, you know what? I've been surrounded by a lot of Christian
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And shout out to everybody that was part
Hey,
of
if
that.
you're part of the Mormon Hill clan, there's a bunch of those routes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people that were lined up in my circle, they all had it there for me, and I just couldn't see it.
Yeah, and they kept going. So you had the 6 DUIs. Everybody, when this happens, like everybody's trying to help, right? And then you're in court, and they find you, right? And what was that court for? Was it for DUIs?
Actually, it wasn't. How they found me was in family court.
Wow.
I was literally sitting there for fighting for my kids, because I was at that point where the mother had noticed that, I was being too much, and she knew. She caught wind of it, and that was the ammo, and that's what really.
What's so funny, because I'm not sure if you remember the bailiff, but it could have been my brother.
Yeah. I was going to say, one of the judges, we probably interviewed him here at this
Well,
show.
the judge was quite upset because I lied to her.
Yeah.
And I literally was sitting in the what they had to go recess to figure this out, and I was sitting there, and there was like 5 bailiffs walking in, and I'm like, oh, that's for me, that's for sure, that's for me.
Yeah.
And I was calling my wife, and I'm telling her,
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, they're I know these guys are here for me.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you're gonna have to face it somehow. So yeah, that's how they got me.
So your
They
wife
were
was
both on
there?
this. My wife wasn't there at the time. She was pregnant. She didn't want to be present. She didn't.
Yeah.
I've gone through court so many times fighting for dumb reasons because I was out of.
Yeah. And so that feeling, I mean, you're sitting there, you see the officers going,
Yeah.
hey, Frank,
He
how
says-
you doing?
He goes, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, but you found me a warrant, and they took me in.
Wow.
And I think in all fairness, they're like, we didn't do it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
No,
we're
I
gonna do it.
agree. And the funny thing about it is I actually quit 2 days prior to going to court because I made a fool of myself at a family dinner.
Wow.
You know, and I woke up and I can see the angriness in my wife, and I finally realized, you know what, enough's enough. Enough's enough. And yeah, they finally got me. Took a week to get a court date. I actually bailed out within the 6 days I was in there for. It was a full-on $8,000 cash bond.
Wow.
Cash.
Had to be cash.
Had to be cash. There was no payments, 10% down. No, you're high risk. You need to. This is how you're gonna get out. So yeah, it was. And you know, within the month, I had to go to a court date, and we started pleading, and the public defender is all I can afford because I already used up all my favors from Christian friends and people that were helping me. You know, they gave up. They were like, "You're too much. You know, we can't help you." And so she came at me with a 10-year sentence.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. She said 10 years.
Wow.
And I looked at my wife. My wife was there at that time. She was pregnant, 7 months pregnant, and with our daughter. And we were bawling together.
Yeah. I mean, when somebody tells you we're going to take 10 years of your life.
Yeah.
I mean.
You think, do I even have that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
I mean, you got to think I was 29 at the time, I think. 28, man. 29. And it was like, hey, can I come back? Like, she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, can I get like a month to like
think about it?
She's like, well, you got a program, you can do 45 days. We can tell them you're going to be doing that, or we can try to do the injection. Tell them you're going to do the injection shot. And I gave up. I was like, I'm an addict.
Yeah.
I'm an addict.
Yeah.
You know, and I was literally crying, and she's like looking at me like, sorry.
So what? She's
so
like,
what?
so what? Yeah.
So yeah, she set the court date the next month, and I tell you what, I jumped on that horse of. I mean, I was like,
clean
I
as
sold
a whistle.
my house. Yeah, clean as a whistle. Selling my house. I already know I'm looking at 10 years. I'm talking to my business partner, you know, and telling him, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be gone for a while. It looks like I'm gonna have to sell you the business. I gotta get out. I gotta clean this leg. You know what I mean? I gotta go. So yeah, it all happened within time. Within the month. And you know, I went to AA classes. You know, when I left my AA classes, I ended up in VBF on a Wednesday night.
That's the best night to be a VBF was on a Wednesday night.
That's Valley Bible Fellowship.
Sundays are good. I'm just saying Wednesdays are special.
Yeah.
For this. And
so
I know how it was for me.
And so I left there with believing that something was going to change.
You came in and you left with Jesus.
Yeah. And that Sunday, I actually went and got baptized that Sunday. I still have that shirt.
I love that.
I still have that shirt. I died.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
did you feel like something died though? Like you went through this crisis, and then because we see a lot of people who come through the doors and they're in crisis, right? And so, but there is a choice to be made in the crisis. And
well, let's just even say that some people just look for fire insurance.
Yeah.
That wasn't you, but they just do.
Yeah.
You know, on the show that I did with Scott and Phil McLaughlin, I asked Scott about that. You know, he's a defense attorney, and he was like, "Oh yeah, a lot of people come in, you know, holding a Bible. It's like, what do they do with it afterwards?"
Yeah. And that's what really got me the most. You know, I left knowing that it was gonna be left with God. You know, and I can remember the day that I was downtown, and I remember. I mean, the floor was dirty. I mean, they were just throwing inmates in there. 1, 2, 3, and I'm like, what are you in here for heroin? What are you? I mean, these guys are all loaded. These guys. One guy was like, oh, I got caught with 10 kilos of methamphetamine.
Gosh.
I'm waiting to be transferred to Arizona. And I'm like, you got caught? Yeah. So we shared. But anyways, everyone was asleep. This floor is nasty, and I got on all fours, and I had asked God to take this away from me. And I told him I will never look back.
So what did he do?
He took it away.
I love that.
He took it away. It was so after being baptized, I had court the next week. I get down there, and I'm already knowing what I'm facing.
10 years.
Yeah.
A decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just so you know, like, as you're an audience, like, you're watching this in his story, he knew it was taken away. that day. And this is like years later, right?
Yeah, years later.
But you knew that that was the moment. And like it happens like that when you really present it all and you bear all and
Yes.
you give it all to God.
Yes.
He'll take it all. He'll freely take it all.
I believe it because I went to the court date and the lady came to me and she says 5 years from 10. She says that's probably the best thing we can do.
And that's
for
a
you."
miracle. Yeah.
That
10 to
hey,
5.
at that point, I already expected that. And keep in mind, I've gone to these AA meetings. I've entered into a program. Shout out, to Bakersfield Indian Health. We'll go into that. I entered into the program, and so I showed him these credentials that I'm trying. And the lady was just like, "Yeah, it's just the same story. We hear it a lot, And she says, "Give me a minute." And she goes in, and she comes back out, and she goes, 1 year. I says, "Where do we sign?" She says, "Out of that year, you'll spend 6 months. But here's the thing: you got to finish the program while you're in there.
Wow.
6 months program. You got to finish it. When you finish it, you get out, and you'll stay local." I said, "No prison, no state prison." She said, "No." I'm like,
Wow.
"Sign me up."
Success story.
Yeah.
So if you're out there looking at it, I mean, I know a lot of people out there are like, well, he deserved it.
Yeah.
And you said you deserved it.
I did.
And I don't know why this is. Let's just talk about this real quick. But why is it, Adrian and Frankie, that we want forgiveness and grace for ourselves, but we want wrath for everybody else? Right? Somebody does you wrong, cuts you off in the morning, get them, God. Hey, when it's you, give me grace, God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going through. But we do. We want wrath for them and grace for us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just awesome that God doesn't see that.
Yeah.
He sees the heart.
Yeah.
And he saw your heart.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even the judge was like, "No way, there's no way." She was telling
She's arguing with him.
yeah, she was arguing with the district attorney, and
Yeah.
at that time, district attorney just got a grant of $200,000 plus to prosecute DUI offenders, and I was like, "Oh, I'm in for it."
Yeah.
They're using it up
Yeah.
on me.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
using it, but yeah, the judge wanted to overturn it, and she had told me that this was your lucky day. I just don't understand it, but okay.
And that's when the judge says, "You belong in prison."
You belong? Yeah, she squared out and
really
said, "You
said
belong
it.
in prison."
And Frankie, can I say that you probably felt that too?
No, I honestly did 100%.
I think that's a change of heart. The Bible says that we're supposed to bring fruit with our repentance.
Yeah.
And so as you're doing something. You're actually putting some effort out. You've given your life to the Lord. You got baptized, but you sold your house. You're putting things in order. I mean, these are things saying, "Hey, I'm prepared." And I think that's like, Jacob, up there and his sons,
Yeah.
they're gonna Abraham's gonna let the knife fall,
Yeah.
and God's like, "No."
Right. That's
Stop.
right. He stops him.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think, so you're in that story, and I think most of the time when we think DUIs, it's like, hopefully someday they stop, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But today, how many years have you been clean?
I've been clean for 5 years. This is my
5
fifth year.
So he would have got out of prison
Around this time.
Around this time.
I
But-
told that to my boss.
Yeah.
I says, this is like kind of my release date. I don't mean to be funny about it. I know it's not
real.
a joke. It's real.
But it's like, it's part of the
it-
story, though.
It's part of the story. Yes, I look back and I laugh at myself for it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I know it's not funny. You shouldn't be.
Well, the circumstances are very serious, but I think as we there and a lot of our audiences out there, this is something that I think everybody can experience at a different level. Yours happened to be at a very serious driving offense. Mine was I was a broken man, and a lot of circumstances. I was screwed up. I just didn't know how to get unscrewed up, and I think the way is Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, however it's done, that's our journey and that's your story.
Yeah.
As there again, your journey's not over.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
So-
There's things in your
It's-
journey that as God is what I'm fearing is you're feeling God has helped you with the lesser charges,
Yeah.
Yes.
with the being able to get off the drugs
Yes.
easily, because those things aren't easy to get
Oh,
off
no.
of.
Oh.
Addiction is a hard thing to explain.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, and I have my story, and so as you're talking about it, you know, addiction is something that's got you all tangled up. The Bible says we gotta lay aside the sin that so easily entangles us, and addiction is one of them.
Yeah.
Because it's just waiting to get you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing about your story that I really love, in that, I mean, a lot of people relate to this part, is that Jesus says that my yoke is easy, right? And so in that prison cell, when you went all the way down and you prayed and you felt like God took it, he didn't leave you empty, right?
No.
And that's
he
the thing.
replaced it.
Right. And it's
Yes.
like, that's why I said 5 years today. You know, it's like
Yeah,
this 5
and,
years.
well-
And what did he replace it with?
Well, yeah, with this ultra cycling. But yeah, here's the thing. You know, he not only, excuse my speech is off. But
Frank,
Don't worry about it.
you
Frank.
don't worry
Keep
about
going,
that with me.
Keep going.
he not only gave me 1 year, he had only sentenced me for 30 days.
Wow.
I got out on a program that was a breathalyzer and an ankle monitor. Right? Officer said, "You'll be back.
Yes.
You'll be back. 90% failure rate. First time you miss, we're going to pick you up."
Mm.
When I heard that, I was like, no way.
Yeah.
No way. I will definitely stay on top of this.
Yeah.
So the day they released me is when I really started to square up myself and really kept myself on I was on a leash. I was nowhere
Yeah.
to go.
Physical leash.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. I talk to people a lot of times about the bridle that I know God has in me. You know, when I say that, I'm an old horse guy. You can, bits have pounds.
He can ride a horse.
Bits have pounds. So whatever the poundage you need to control your behavior. So I always, there's a thing with God and I, because there's a Hackamore horse that doesn't have a bit. I always say, God, I want to be that. And God's like, no, you're not a Hackamore horse.
You need the
a bit in your
bit.
mouth.
Yeah.
But the Bible says that God, that you can turn a big, powerful animal. So that your commitment was, I'm doing this.
I'm doing this. Yeah, and he replaced it. He replaced it with the bike.
Yeah. And that's awesome. So how did that
How did the bu-
transition?
yeah.
How did you go from I am a mechanic and I work every day, I drink every day, I do a little of this and that every day, my wife hates me, to I ride bikes and now my wife loves me, my kids are happy, and I work a job? I mean, how did that happen?
Because that's the story.
Yeah. Like, how did that happen?
I mean, so my probation officer was getting upset that I was getting home too late, right?
Okay.
You have a curfew when you're on this thing. And I had to leave I was still a business owner at the time, trying to juggle a I mean, literally, it was so hard because I was in house arrest for 2 weeks. You know, I'm like, I got to get to work. And he's like, no, you got to be in house arrest first. We got to do this whole interview thing, whatnot. So fast forward. He finally was like, you need to get home faster than the time you're getting home. And my wife's pregnant. Actually, she just had the baby when I just got released. I literally was able to be there for the birth of our child. Thank the Lord I was able to be there. And so, yeah, I was like, okay, the bus is taking forever, right? I mean, the get bus to get
I used to
from
ride
one
the bus
part
in
of
L.A.
town.
I get that.
And I didn't want anybody to help me. I put myself there. I was getting myself out. I could have easily asked my business partner, hey, take me home, whatnot. And I was like, no, I need to sacrifice here. So I kind of looked up bike routes, and it led me to Strava. And so I looked up Strava, and I never knew the bike trail. And one day I decided to ride the bike trail, and by Lord, that 12 miles took me I looked back yesterday, 12 miles took me 2 hours and 35 minutes.
Wow.
2 hours, 35 minutes to get home.
You could do that in like 25 minutes now, right?
Well, let me tell you the story. It kept on going. And the obsession of it it lit a fire in me. I had a backpack on with this gallon of water in the back, my breathalyzer in the back, my ankle monitor on my ankle. Cyclists were looking at me like,
yeah.
he's another guy that lives on this bike trail.
Yeah.
he's a camper, you know.
Whose bike did he get?
Yeah, whose bike did he get? And actually, it was a Walmart bike. My business partner helped me buy a Walmart bike.
Wow.
$100 for the Walmart bike.
Wow.
I rode that thing until it
so
died.
you don't have to start out with the best gear.
You can't.
Yeah.
You don't have
That's
to.
the key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, I got dropped my first time being out there, you know, and that really set a fire in me. I was truly
What does being
heartbroken.
dropped mean?
It means so usually there's a pack and they're a group of individual riders and they're going along.
I knew it had a neat analogy.
And you're in the
analogy.
very back of them, and when they drop you, they purposefully will speed up and drop you back, or you just run out of fitness and you just disappear.
I mean, I really thought of all this training supposedly I was doing in my head. It reminds you I was like maybe 185. I walked into jail at 204. I was 204 pounds.
Wow.
Not top of it of all my troubles. I was 204. You know, so when I was released, I was like 185. And literally, I was seeing the effects, right? And so I thought I can ride with these guys. And no, I got dropped. I remember the guy's name.
Oh, boy.
No.
We call him
It's funny that we do remember things like this.
Yeah, I remember the gentleman's name to this day, and he's a good friend of mine, Cowboy Randy. I remember him telling me, "It's okay, it happens."
It happens to
And I'm like,
everybody.
"No, it doesn't happen. No, you don't get it. I've been trained, like supposedly training. I'm on this Walmart bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on this Walmart bike. He's looking at me. He's like,
It'll be
"Well,
all
one
right.
of 'em
You're
is
giving
you got
it
a
all
heavy
it can
bike."
go,
Oh
and-
man, dude, I lasted till like I think Daryl's.
Wow.
Right before, though, I guess that was the beginning of the ride. I thought it was like,
that was just the warm up, and then Daryl.
to them.
it
Yeah,
goes
I got
on.
dropped, man, and after that, I mean, going from my classes and I was still going to my classes, my AA meetings, you know, during the day, getting home before my PO. I mean, the worst thing is to get a probation officer to come to your house, clear your house out while your wife's in the shower. She has to come out. I mean, everybody has to be pulled out of the house to go through your
Wow.
house. I mean, just talk about, you know, going through that. What kept me going to stay straight, you know?
Kept
This-
motivating you.
Yeah, I mean, to put my family through this, you know, and others, you know. I was living with my in-laws, and my in-law was a correction officer. Go figure that one.
Wow.
You know what I mean? My father-in-law was he was a correction officer, and
Yeah.
and you know, for him to still allow me to be there.
There's a story there.
Oh, this
Yeah,
this
that-
story doesn't end.
There's a cool story there because I know that because I'm getting a son-in-law in 2 weeks, you know, and so I know how much I love Danny, and so there's, you know, it is so that's cool. Kudos to him.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I like I said, it really put me in a stage where I was crying to my therapist that I got dropped by these guys. And she was like, "I'm not understanding what's happening
Yeah,
here."
yeah.
And and I says, "No. Here's the kicker. These guys are not like 50 years old. They're like, no offense, but they're like 60-year-old guys."
And you're thinking I'm keeping up with it. They're like, no, you're not.
Bro, they were dropping me at 19.
We talked
19 was
to
this-
Joe Peterson. He's a
Oh,
60
Yeah.
Joe Peterson is another story.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know,
so-
I get that because it is, yeah.
Oh man,
It'll hurt your ego.
And so, you know, I continued, and I remember the day that I got in my first accident. You know, I had bought my first bike from Snyder's. You know, and oh man,
So you went up from Walmart to Snyder's.
Oh,
Yeah.
so my bad. The Walmart bike took a dump.
It died.
It died.
Yeah.
It said no
you,
more.
Which it
you probably
should.
won't burn up the gears or
Yeah,
something.
the cable broke, and that's the excuse I gave to my wife.
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
able to be repaired.
And that's a good point too, because like a lot of people will start getting into their sports or their athletic, and sometimes they get what's I call buyer's remorse. They'll go and get the most expensive running shoes, the most expensive running watch, the most expensive running outfit, and then they'll be like, "Wow, I just spent $5,000.
Yeah.
I don't feel like running now."
And that was the beginning.
I feel broke. but
Yes.
but when you do it slow like that, when you go from a Walmart bike to a Snyder's bike that, you know, is not $8,000, you don't have that remorse, you know, because you're just building up.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that, like you just built up slowly.
Yeah,
you know?
slowly, and I had push pedals, you know, and I rode it for the first time. I was like, "Oh man, this thing's a difference, huge difference, right?"
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, the story goes. That's just the beginning, right? I mean, I blew through that bike already, but I mean, the thing is that, you know, I kept on pushing myself to get into that level.
Yeah.
And I seen that it was working because I was getting home faster. My mind was right. It was clearing out. You know, the effectiveness of alcohol and drugs were fading away.
Yeah.
You know, and it took me back to when I was a kid again, when I was picked on, when I was, you know, not that these guys were picking on me, dropping me. You know what I mean? They laughed because, you know,
you'll drop somebody one day.
Yeah. But no, that is something. It's psychologists sometimes they call it like a survival mechanism that you learn when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And like some people, they build athleticism from that mechanism.
Yes.
They say, I will never be weak again.
Well, yeah, and you're right, and it could be a curse too because you can. That's kind of how I became an addict of alcohol. My childhood, you know, I'd use that for that. Oh, this is why I do this.
Macho.
Well, there's always an excuse. Well,
Yeah.
I do think, and I think this is important if you're out there in the audience, that all of us who have had an issue of obsession, which addictions are exception, you know, you put that off and you put Christ on. Well, you still have that personality. You need to do something with what you put off.
Yeah.
You know, you got to replace it. You know,
Yeah, and
it's a replacement. You know, you have to do that. I mean, me, I still was able to work out, so that didn't fall. But you know, I got involved in the church, and I got involved with Christ and what Christ was doing, helping people. So that took that. You know, the balance went back up.
Yeah.
For me, the bike helped you go back up, and there was a great reason to do it because I want to get home.
Yeah, I had to get home faster than my POs.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because I didn't know that about him. So the first time we were going to go riding and stuff, he was like, yeah, I'll meet you there. And I was like, he shows up on his bike. And I was like, what? He's just going to ride? You know, oh, all right. He's one of those tough guys. They ride everywhere. And then after the ride, I was like, I'll give you a ride. And then he kind of explained, well, you know, I can't drive because I had DUIs. So that's why I ride everywhere. And I was like, and you go on other rides? So he was riding everywhere.
As transportation.
Yeah, and then doing these 50, 60-mile rides. And then I was just like, I was blown away that day. I was like, this guy.
The people that race probably don't use that as their mode of transportation.
No. Unless there's Zach Griffin. Zach Griffin's the only guy I know in town who rides everywhere and races.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. Later on, come to find out and learning from him, and I rode with him a couple of times. He's an amazing guy. You know what I mean? Real bike guru guy, and you know he'll lay the law down to you, let you know what you're doing wrong.
Well, that's what us old guys are supposed to do.
Yeah, no,
you've got to turn the gray hair and wrinkles into something productive. Well, I love it that the old guys are dropping the young guys. I'm like, way to go, old guy.
And it still happens all the time.
So do you remember the first time you dropped somebody?
Actually,
it wasn't me.
I can't see. I mean,
yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
I you know what? To be honest with you, I can't say it because my mind clicks somewhere else.
Yeah.
And sometimes when it clicks somewhere else, I don't know what's going on around me. So I never look back.
I've been in several gyms.
So what he's trying to say is he dropped everybody and he didn't even remember.
Yeah, I worked out a lot of. I worked out a lot of gyms.
He's trying to say, guys.
Well, you have
so
to
if you're
lift.
out there, he dropped you. You know it,
and you don't know he dropped you. In the lifting world, there's gyms that you have to lift a certain poundage to even get in the door. And so, you know, I've belonged to some of the great clubs because I used to be a power lifter before I was a bodybuilder. So it was the same motto. It's like somebody come in to lift to get into the morning shift and like, oh, sorry, you can't come to the gym anymore.
Oh, wow.
You got to go to another gym and come back and try to lift, and we'll let you in the door. So it was like an honor to come through, but a lot of people had to up their game to even walk through the door.
Yes.
So there's a lot of lifting clubs that were weight oriented.
Yeah.
And they didn't take your word for it.
And
They went over and they go, if you say you can do a total, $1,000 or $2,000, $2,500, go over there and do it.
Well, now that you say that, a group of we would call ourselves special people, I guess.
Special people.
It's ultra cycling world, I kind of had I walked into an interview not knowing I was in the interview. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was a selection of being a teammate of a team, not knowing it, right? Because of how I was riding. And so, yeah, it was a shocker to me because, rest in peace, our friend Mike Gary. He was road warrior.
Yeah. And Mike did that for a lot of people. He would speak up and say, hey, this guy's really good. You guys should know his name. And he put your name out there. And it was for a record-breaking event where, I'll whisper this, he beat Joe Peterson.
Joe? I've never really wanted to say I did, but
Joe will tell people I beat Norm Hoffman.
Yeah.
I seen the interview, and I was like, he was like, I've never been passed on Ram, and I'm like, yeah, I've seen him get past at Hoodoo. Sorry, Joe.
Just once, Joe. It
just
happened
once,
once.
Joe.
It won't happen again,
won't.
I'm sure.
I promise you. And so I actually got selected to do that, be on that team from another friend of Mike's that actually got in an accident a month prior to doing the Hoodoo. So I only had preparation of less than a month to do this race with Joe Peterson. He was a legend.
And you're just coming from a Walmart bike.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love that.
Well, he had only been at it for a little bit of time. I think we were under maybe 3 years of riding. Under 3 years. And he was already
actually my second year.
Yeah, that was his second year.
So in your opinion, this is something that not everybody does.
Oh, no. Not everybody can do this.
Yeah.
And really,
congratulations.
I think what it took was something like that tragedy happening to get him to focus to that level. Yeah. Because he was, that tragedy is great. To have that many DUIs, to be sentenced, to be your life is going to be gone for 10 years, and then from 5 years to 1 year, and you see God's grace. There has to be some kind of crazy fruit that comes out of that story, and that's what happened.
And that's what happened. We actually set the 2-man record on that course. We actually got penalized, and when we got penalized, they penalized an hour. But we actually finished the course at 26 minutes, 57
that's right.
minutes.
And how many miles?
26 hours, 57 minutes.
How many miles was that?
500 miles. With 30,000 feet of climbing, but I'm going to tell you, every bit of it was a blur because it when they put me on that bike, they were like, go, and I'm like, okay,
fast Frankie.
Yeah, here we go.
I was there to do a job, and
well, you know what's great is as you're out there in the audience and you're listening, I love it because as you got hit in the head with a padlock, you overcame speech impediment, you overcame an addiction, you overcome incarceration, and then you put your family there, then you got saved, and you're still motivating yourself to keep going out there. That's the thing that all of us have to do, and you still have a love for Christ.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is it, because that's what it's really about, is being an evangelist. And we have a lot of people on our show, but we had a banker on our show, Phil McLaughlin, and Phil was like, I'm not an evangelist, or I'm not a pastor or a speaker, I'm a banker. But what I got out of it, his office is evangelism.
Yeah.
Everybody comes in and wants money from me is going to hear about Jesus.
Yeah. And the way you do it too, the way you do life is your biggest message. Yeah. St. Francis, he said, if you have to speak, speak. But let your life be your biggest sermon you ever preach, your biggest message, your biggest expression of love. And that's what your life is.
And that's where I'm at, And, when we were done, I swear, my teammate, he's something else. I learned this from him. I've only met him for 2 times, and that was it. And then we were on this course to break this record.
Yeah.
When I got there, they told me. I didn't even know about it until then. They told me, right? And he has no expressions, right? And I'm like, how is this guy riding the way he's riding? And I'm over here dying. I'm crying. I'm like, I don't know if I can keep going. Or they're like, yeah, you can. Come on. You think about it. You've been through worse. You got Eric Ross. Big shout out to him. The Ross family. Just such an amazing coach. amazing guy, ultra cycling. He knew right on the tee when to eat, when to give out. I mean, this guy.
Yeah.
But long
Great
story
tea
short,
party.
we ended up winning our category. We set a world record. We actually finished second behind a 4-man team.
Yeah.
As a two-man team.
As a
As a
two-man
two-man
team.
team.
And
You know
they
that-
almost caught them.
Almost
Got him. I was
Almost.
like, when we were watching, you could see the 4-man team, and then you could just see Frank and his team just like, I was like, they're going to catch him. Like, those guys are going to get caught. I'm sure somebody told them, and that's what motivated that
Yeah.
4-man team.
That's
and then
cool.
and you know, after that, that was almost like amazing time of my life at that point. I was like, wow, these guys are all they're like telling me, oh, you're meeting this legend, this guy's gonna be a legend. I'm like, whoa, wait, time out. I'm not
Yeah.
a legend. I'm just who I am. No, you're gonna be somebody one day.
love
Watch,
that.
you're gonna be somebody.
Yeah.
And we had him on our show.
Yeah. And you know, that like attitude, though.
Yes.
People who are humble are not weak.
Yes.
You know that? Like, you will never meet a humble
Well,
guy
that
who
explains-
can't do 10 push-ups. The guy who can't do 10 push-ups is not humble. He's weak, you know? And that's what it is. Like, you're out there. That's why we say the legend, you know, because you're out there, you're strong. And, you know, I'm not going to take it from you because he works 10 to 12-hour days, right? I just want you to get this because he's still performing at a high level in ultra cycling. 10 to 12 hours a day, auto mechanic, under turning wrenches. He's married, so he's got wife. He's got 8 kids. That's
8
right.
Children.
He beat me at that race. Okay,
Oh, well,
he's ahead of me.
Adrian, you know, but he had them young.
Yeah.
When there's energy. Yeah, you're having a new one next
And
week.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
A brand new one, a boy.
That's
Yeah.
another story. to
That's
tell,
another
but-
story.
But
Adrian's trying to beat us all on that one.
Yeah.
And he wins. I tap out.
but he's got all that going on, and he still trains.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
just like, what would you say to that dad, that mom, I mean, because I talk to a lot of them, and sometimes they'll throw their kids as the excuse, or their jobs as their, I should say, reason, not excuse. But they're saying those things. What gets you to that point where you say, I can do this, I can train?
You know, believing in myself, you know,
Wow.
and if you can believe in yourself, anything is possible, right? I mean, you just gotta. I mean, it's literally one step forward, right? Not back, forward. And once you do that, and you continuously do that, there's no excuses behind that. You
Well,
can't give
yeah,
excuses.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that as you look at life or whatever you enjoy doing, is it takes effort. Takes
Effort.
sacrifice. And what you're doing is you're saying, I'm
A lot of sacrifices.
I'm
4 hour
supporting my
sleeps.
family. I'm married, so I got a wife. I have 8 children, and I got to train. You're just saying, I'm going to fit it in,
Yeah.
you know, and then I'm going to make it work.
Yes.
You know, it's one of those things that I think we all live in it, and I think if you're out there, and I think we all have that same mentality that God's got a purpose for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he will keep energizing us to keep pushing on. And then when he switches the purpose, you still have to go. I mean, Adrian knows this, I'm as excited about my next career in 2 years
Yeah.
that I have been on the last 4. You know, I'm like,
That's awesome.
I'm looking for another career.
Yeah.
And excited about it because I just like, God's going to give me opportunity.
That's right.
God's giving you opportunity. And I do believe he'll take you places to share this story about overcoming.
And he did give me an opportunity because I got a phone call within the month after doing Hoodoo by Mr. Joe Peterson.
I love that.
That's right. Because
I got a phone call and it was an interview. He's like, I need to see you at your house. I need to talk to you. And I'm like, for what? He's I just give me your address. I need to talk to you. He comes to my house and we're talking. He's like, what's your goals? And I told him and he was like, okay, you're my teammate. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And I says, well, he goes, you're going to train on 5211 the whole time, climbing the bluffs repeatedly 5 times, twice a week. And he's just giving me this regimen. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Are you kidding me? 5211? What is 5211? Been in the game for already
You're thinking it's like a penal code or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I'm just-
It's a really hard gear. That's what 5211 is. It's like running up a flight of stairs with a 100-pound backpack on your back.
Up the bluffs.
Up the bluffs over
5
and over
times.
again. Yeah,
5
that's what that
times.
is.
One
5211.
session.
Yeah.
One session.
That makes
So-
me hurt just sitting here.
Well, talking about pain, we end up going to Borrego Springs that year and set a world record.
Yeah.
He said that on the episode. I remember him telling me, Frankie, before I retired,
Yeah, he said
need
he
to
said he
break
did
this
it
record.
all. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't say that. No, but you guys definitely set a new record in the way that you guys did it too, because it was like lots of people take breaks during this event, and they just they can't handle the load. They did not do that. They
No.
just kept
Kept
going.
going. Machine work.
24 hours like a machine. And
You're
just-
dropping the people behind you.
Yeah.
So Frankie does drop people.
Yeah, he does. He does. He does.
Yeah,
But
He causes something different in
Yes.
his mind.
So far, in my time being in this, I have 2 records, in ultra cycling, and right now I'm currently tied. Found out currently tied for the stage race of the 200 mile California Triple Crown. If you look it up, it's California Triple Crown. Anybody wants to do a double century, you look up Triple Crown California.
wow,
What it is, it's 200 miles in
it's a
one
really
day.
hard race.
200 miles in one day.
I have a hard time driving in a car 200
With-
miles one day.
Yeah.
With each stage is more than 20,000 feet.
Wow.
Wow.
So
See, that taps me out way just thinking about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Puts me on the couch.
Ugh.
but it's this is where my life is now.
I love it.
Yeah.
My life is with cycling, and there's no turning back. I mean, I guess they are right. I'm creating a legend, me not even knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
And being a role model for my kids. My daughter just had her first race this past Sunday.
Oh,
That's
cool.
right.
That was
Passing
very
it on.
emotional.
I love
I mean,
that.
she is so. She did 8 miles the last event, and no hesitance. Just
Yeah.
Dad, I want to go around the corner. Let's go.
Yeah, and that's what it is
When I get
too.
home.
Yeah.
Tired.
When you have that though in you, and your kids see that drive, they want to be a part of it. Like my kids, I never forced them ever to race. Every time my kids have raced, it's because they seen me out there and say, "I want to do it," and they go out and they want to do it, and they're savages when
And be
they
careful.
race.
Her name is Fast Desi Boo.
Fast Desi Boo.
Yeah, you'll see her
That's
coming
cool.
up. She's amazing, and honestly too, I wouldn't have been here today not only for God, but for my tribe, my Tejon tribe,
Yeah.
that I'm from, and my biggest sponsors too. Get a bike,
love that.
That's another story where that guy just handed me a bike and was like, "You're gonna be the fastest guy in town in no time."
Yeah, Fernando Gonzalez.
Fernando Gonzalez.
Would get a bike.
And my new job now, McWilliam Weldon. Big shout out to Gary Massey.
Gary Massey. The Massey family is
Yes.
tremendous.
Oh my gosh.
Good fam. You
What
couldn't
a-
have a better employer.
What a story to tell you on that one. I
Yeah.
mean, how I met that guy.
Yeah.
I was I really learned.
How did you meet him?
Believe it or not, you know what?
At a bar?
No. Not a bike or a bar.
Yeah.
I actually got in a car accident prior to working for him, and I actually got fired because I didn't have a license. I wasn't supposed to be driving, and I was
Yeah.
in the intersection, and someone ran a red light, and boom,
And they hit you.
I hit the.
Oh,
I seen white, and heard ringing noise and whatnot, and
wow.
I thought my life was over. And so, I was in a car accident, and the next week, my boss was running around trying to figure out how to tell me, and I was like, I already knew it. You're gonna fire me. He's like, yeah, I'm so sorry, man. You are our best. I just made them $100,000 the last month. They had to fire their best guy. They had no choice. And so I was actually at Lowe's trying to get a floor jack and jag, because I was gonna work out of the house. I'm a mechanic. I can get side work.
Yeah.
This guy walks up to me. Little guy, just like me.
mhm.
Little guy, a little
and-
taller
and-
than me. I give it to
and
him.
he is one strong guy. Have you seen him on his
Come to find out.
Have you seen him on his ninja wall that he has at his house?
Oh my gosh!
Oh my God.
When I went to his
We gotta
house,
get Gary on
yeah,
the
yeah,
show.
we got to get Gary.
Oh my gosh.
Gary Massey.
but-
Put him on the
Yeah,
Put
his
him on
kids
the
all
show.
like.
Oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. So he he's asking me, hey, let me help you. I'm like, no, I got it. Don't worry. He's like, no, I'm helping you. And so, anyways, I seen the name on the back of his shirt. And I was like, hey, I've heard of this business. And he was like, oh, what'd you hear? I was like, oh, good things. He's like, yeah, I own it. And he was like, what do you do? I said, oh, I'm a mechanic. I just got fired today. So this, goes to say how this story started.
And that was a total accident.
It's total accident.
Well, Gary will say,
well,
you were a prayed
you
for
guys
man.
know what it was. It wasn't an accident.
No. Not knowing with Gary Massey or the fact that that intersection crossed.
Oh my Lord, that guy has been a blessing. He's actually, he's blessed me quite.
He's blessed so many people.
Yeah.
I mean, Gary just does. I mean, he's
we can go on. And talking about being strong, we wrestled recently, and everybody was like, we were the center of the attention, and we were just getting at it, and I'm just like, man, this guy.
He's an older guy.
Yeah, I know.
Don't wrestle the older guys, man.
Well, he didn't realize I was a wrestler, and he was just like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you.
You grab a wrestler by the hand, you're going to know
that
in
was
the
it.
first 10 seconds that they were a wrestler.
On his interview, he'll let you know. But you know what? I mean,
so who won? Well, we'll ask him. We'll ask him.
We'll ask Gary.
That'll be a to be continued.
To be continued. To be continued.
But you know what? He also too didn't know about the story until I told him. And when I first started there, I just and to remind you, my wife set me up on a challenge in July to do 100 miles a day.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
In July, do it. So Lance Armstrong, some of us know about. Remember, guys, he is still strong.
Yeah, he's still an athlete.
Yeah, he's still an athlete. But anyways, he put a challenge out.
I used to blood dope, so I get.
Yeah.
PEDs are a fact of life. I mean, I'll probably do our relevant rant.
But the work,
PEDs
but it's still the work, though.
It is. Well, honestly,
still,
any type of PED
doesn't
give it to you. It's athletes. We know that. Anybody that's competed at a world level knows that there's things. I mean, caffeine's PED.
Yeah.
Well, so if you're out there drinking your morning
legal
caffeine,
though.
Yeah.
This guy had a trip on me because he was like, "What? Why are you sending me a message at 2:30 in the morning? Is something wrong? Is something happening?" And I had to explain to him what it was, and he goes, "There's no way." I says, "Yes." He goes, "There's no way you wake up at 2:30 in the morning and you ride 100 miles before you come to work."
Yep. And he did.
And I did
every single day for July.
For July, 100 miles. I do a challenge in July, 100 miles a day. The highest I got was I think it was like 2,900 miles. I missed it by like 2-3 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but he got on Strava that in the world it was what?
I think it was like 35th in the world.
In the world, and there's millions.
I actually was gonna quit. Believe it or not, I was gonna quit.
And then your wife.
And I realized she's like,
we all need a challenge from our wives.
Yes,
it's okay because they are the person that's the closest to us on this earth.
Yeah,
Jennifer's amazing. Adrian, every time I see her, she's gonna have the baby next week. Yeah. But you got a good wife.
Yeah, and she challenges me all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
and
your wife's
big credit
family?
to my wife.
I agree.
She's amazing.
And behind every man's a good woman.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's more stories to tell. I mean,
So
like
I
riding
think-
from Bakersfield to the coast and one day back and forth.
Or I heard you went on this 120-mile ride with this crazy guy on Highway 65.
Oh. Yeah. Adrian set me up.
Adrian
set me up. My wife about killed me knowing that.
Like,
she's like, what freeway says 65? He says it's like, we're going to Lake Success. He says, you need to train this. And I'm like, okay. So we have
dangerous free road.
Yeah, this guy set me up, man. I was just like, is he trying to take me up? Because
no.
What is he doing to me?
You could talk to our producer, Mike Harvey.
Yeah.
He came in with all bloodied up one day, had a concussion for a week.
He blamed me. He blamed me. It's all right.
But he was brand new. Kerry Ryan taught me a new term. When people start riding, they're a baby bike rider.
A newbie.
No.
No.
Kerry was just
Wait a minute.
Kerry was just making stuff up on
I'm
the
getting on where I'm getting.
I
Is
know
Adrian
Kerry-
doing that to me?
I've known
No.
Kerry since he's been this tall, since he was
Yeah.
a kid. And so Mike was a baby bike rider, and Adrian is at the bottom of the hill, and Mike goes, "Can I make it?" He goes, "Well, send it." Concussion. He has a scar that he should.
That's what you told your wife, huh, Mike?
I was like, I never
Wow.
go riding with him. And I hear that story.
Okay.
So all these
Okay.
people have these stories
I
when they
believe-
come back
yeah.
with Adrian.
But
Yeah,
that's it.
Adrian sucked me into this. And then the bull thing, you know.
Oh.
gosh.
I was actually in that race too.
Yeah.
Believe it
I
or
love the videos. But I don't want to be.
I wasn't part of that, but I was close enough to where it was going to happen
that's crazy.
to us. You know, it was me and Fernando. We were sticking together. I really wanted to see what this rock cobbler was. And let me tell you, Sam has something.
Oh my gosh.
He even told me when I was telling him all my crazy, adventures, he was like, Frankie, you need to ride the cobbler.
Yeah.
And I rode the cobbler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it got me.
Oh yeah.
Well, I finished, but I'm going to tell you, after the race, I says, you know what, let me tell you what. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. In
Oh,
all
yeah.
my cycling. From climbing 20,000 feet to do 2 Mount Everests. I don't know if I've told you that, but I did 2 challenges of Mount Everest. That's 29,000 feet. 29,029.
It's high.
It's high.
Yeah.
I did Round Mountain 45 times
Isn't that
to
crazy?
get up
Yeah.
to that.
45 times.
Adrian kind of did like maybe
I don't
6
know.
laps with me.
I did 6 in the morning, and then I came back at night, did
Did
another
like another
4.
yeah.
But he just kept going.
45
and,
repeats in one day.
Yeah.
But
he just kept going.
Again, the rock cobbler has everything over that,
Oh yeah.
and you're gonna.
Yeah, the rock cobbler destroys people
Yeah,
all
it's
the
a whole
time.
different-
Everybody who thinks they're strong, they show up to that.
I mean,
race.
even vegan cyclists, a well-known blogger on YouTube, that guy had his hands full. He
Oh,
even
yeah.
said it.
He's
He's like,
just-
"This is a must."
Yeah.
When someone says that, and when I got in and when I seen it, I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I had been
This
inviting him
is-
to that race for like 4 years, and then finally he just shows up.
Yeah, so hands down to Sam. And
Yeah.
I know Sam has a lot to do with punishment, and I like more of it.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
you'll be seeing me out there more, Sam.
Yeah.
Just know
big time.
I'll be out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to be young once.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
but
love
again,
that. I love
again, you know, my addiction turned into cycling.
Yes, it is.
From being from the bottom to now being in. I'm still feeling like I'm in the middle. Not quite there, but you know, some people sometimes give me over credit, but I feel like
You have earned it, and
Yeah.
that's the key. You put the work in.
yeah,
Yeah.
There again, 10-hour days, married, 8 kids, and still doing this.
And still doing it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think like you have to keep doing it because, I mean, I know for myself, when I am not that person, that athlete, I don't feel complete in my day. My jobs take longer. My work takes longer. When I'm at home on the weekend, my wife, she'll literally tell me, you need to go out and
Go out.
ride.
Even my boss
That-
said,
Go
"Look,
ride.
That's why I tell people I work out in the morning. Don't
Yeah.
work out long anymore. The older I get, and I was telling our
Yeah.
producer, Mike Harvey, who didn't get a chance to work out today, I go work out in the morning.
Yeah.
He's like, well, how I do? I go, no, I just,
Gary reminds me too. You're right. He reminds me. He goes, "Hey, get out of here." I'm like,
All right.
"What?"
when your
Go
boss
for a
tells
ride.
you that,
Yeah,
that's it.
go for a ride. I'm like, "Yes, sir."
I'm going to ride to the beach and back. I'll be back by my lunch
Well,
hour.
And he
but
did
funny
that,
I
too.
did do that. I did do that after my first stage race. You know, Mike Gary, rest in peace again. You know, he told me, Frankie, I need you to do that stage race, and I want you to win it. And
Wow.
so I was done with my stage race, right? I ended up tying first, and then my wife planned a getaway with the kids and my mother-in-law to the beach, and I was like feeling left out. I was like, and I asked Gary, I said, "Hey Gary, do you think you can advance me like a week's vacation?" He's like, "Get out of here with that, man. You're such of a good guy. Go ahead." Well, that next day I rode to the beach,
That's crazy.
145 miles.
So 145 miles. Hang on. So he goes to the beach, and then what do? Don't you ride back?
Yes, I ride back the next day.
No, but that's when you're talking.
horrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah. it's
Going
good.
there was easy. Coming back wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I'm thinking wind and rain.
Oh,
or-
gosh.
You can never predict
All the
weather.
elements.
Yeah. All the elements, there's not
I
enough
mean, I think
water
I had a
stop.
headwind for about 2 hours,
Mhm.
doing 8 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, it crushes you. And you know, today I just wanted to thank our producer, Mike Harvey.
Michael
'cause
Harvey.
He does a big job of helping us coordinate all this, getting the equipment, our new studio
Oh,
that
I
we're in
love it.
right now, and all these changes that are happening. He's the forerunner of that. And then also, I want to thank Alex for being here, recording.
Yes.
He does all the edits, all the cool photos that you guys get to see in here, all the little sound bites. And even when you go to our YouTube channel, you can see his thumbnails that
Oh,
he's put in
Alex
there.
does a great
All
job.
the little clips, the little pictures. and MLH Productions for the distribution and the production of this entire thing. I want to give a big shout out our creative consultants as well, Tessa Touchstone and Taylor Touchstone. And I really miss Tiffany being on the set.
She's coming back because we had Cindy Zimmer who wants to come back on the show, and she's requested Tiffany as a host, co-host, and so they're going to come back and they're going to be talking about human trafficking.
So soon, ladies, she's coming back. I know you guys wanted her back,
yeah,
so soon she will be back.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to thank you guys, and thank you, Frankie, for coming on
Oh
here.
no,
We
thank you.
appreciate it.
I was super nervous,
been
and
awesome.
I'm glad that I was able to be here. And
You did a great job, and I
you
know
know,
we'll be
open
having
up.
you back.
Yeah.
people get to know who I am, and like again, my mission is not finished yet.
Nope, it's not.
Amen to that.
I like it.
Well,
Thank you
have a
for
great
tuning
day.
in.